Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are on Chaf Daled Amud Aleph, the Mishnah. Kasher b'Kohanim psul b'Leviim. Kasher b'Leviim pasul b'Kohanim. So we're going to talk about Kohanim and Leviim today. We know that the Kohanim had certain jobs, the main of which was to bring the korbanos, and the Leviim were singers. They played musical instruments. They were the gatekeepers. And then during the times of the Mishkan, they were the ones who took it apart, carried it, put it up, carried the various vessels, the various kalim. So kasher b'kohanim pasul b'Leviim. What's fit and kasher for a kohen is pasul for a Levi. Kasher b'Leviim pasul b'kohanim. What's kasher for a Levi is pasul for a kohen. What does this mean in English? Tana Rabbanan. Kohanim b'mumin psulim, b'shanim ksherim. The Kohanim, if they have certain mumin, they're going to be pasul. So that's what it means, kasher b'Leviim pasul b'Kohanim. That the same mum that will not pasul a Levi will pasul a Kohen. However, b'shanim ksherim, the Leviim have pasul b'Leviim. There are certain things by a Levi that's going to make them pasul, i.e. age. Certain ages are going to be much more strict by Leviim, because we'll see there's still a certain age limit by a Kohen. You can't have a 1-year-old. But in terms of within the normal realm of ages, Kohanim can serve any age, and Leviim are limited by which age, but they're not limited by mumin. Leviim b'mumin ksherin b'shanim psulin. As we'll see, Levi has to be between 30 and 50. We're going to see that a Kohen can be anywhere from seemingly 13 or 20, but 13, let's say, up until he's old. So that's not considered to be, there's no forced retirement. That's not considered, so that's not, even though again there is some type of limit, you can't make a 1-year-old, but it's not considered to be a psul b'shanim. Kohanim can really go as far as they want, as early from bar mitzvah, as late as they want. We'll see there are some limits, but that's not a psul b'shanim, but they do have a psul b'mumin. If they have a mumin, the Leviim are the opposite. They're limited in their age, very, very limited, 30 to 50, but if they have the same mum that a Kohen has, then they're not possible to do the avodah. Says Gemara, Nimsa kasher b'Kohanim pasul b'Leviim, i.e., let's say 20-year-old, and kasher b'Leviim pasul b'Kohanim, i.e., somebody that has a nega, certain type of mum. Binani mili. So where do we see this stuff? The Tana Rabbanan, it says by the Leviim, Zos asher la Leviim, ma tamud lomar. There's a whole parsha about Leviim, and then it says Zos asher la Leviim. Like, what are you adding? Zos asher la Leviim. We just told me the entire parsha is about Leviim. Lefisha nemar ben chamishim shana yashuv, because it says forced retirement at the age of 50. Lamanu leViim shashanim postim b'hem. So we see that there's a certain age. Again, now we're not discussing the minimum. We're seeing that there's a certain limited age that they're going to be pasul after 50. Yachol mumin postim b'hem. So you might think that what? Just like there's a limited age which the Leviim can serve, we're going to be more machmir by Leviim than by Kohanim, because they can only serve from 30 to 50. We're also going to be kal vachomer. We're going to be just as machmer when it comes to mumin, that a mum's going to be posel behen. V'dinu, it's kal vachomer. Uma Kohanim shein hashanim posel behen mumin posel behen. If Kohanim, where there is no quote-unquote age requirements, so the mum is going to be posel them. Leviim shashanim posel behen, who are even stricter because what? That age is going to be posel b'hem. Eino din sheyu mumin posel b'hem. For sure, a mum is going to ruin them. Talmud lomar zos asher la Leviim. After telling you all about the shanim, it says zos la Leviim ve'ein acheres la Leviim. The only problem, or the only disqualification, the only restriction we're going to have is zos, is the age description and the age restriction, and not the restriction of mumin. So even though in a kal vachomer, and again, you can learn the kal vachomer both ways, as we'll see, like we did yesterday. But even though in Svara one could have argued that a Levi should have the disqualification of mum as well, we're saying that because of the word zos, exeris hakasov, the only disqualification of a Levi is going to be shanim. You might think now that Kohanim should be disqualified by years, using a kal vachomer the other way. V'alo it's a kal vachomer, ma Leviim shein mum posem b'hen, shanim posem b'hen. A Levi who's not disqualified with the mum still is going to be disqualified with years. Kohanim shein mum posem b'hen, eino din sheyu shanim posem b'hen. So then for sure, a Kohen who, according to this way of looking at it, is on a more strict level, because they're going to be disqualified even by a mum, for sure shanim should disqualify them. Talmud lomar asher la Leviim. So 3 words teaches us everything. Vizos, zos teaches me that a Levi only has a disqualification of shanim, not of mumim. Asher la Leviim teaches me that only Leviim have the disqualification of years and not Kohanim. That's how the Gemara learns. Talmud lomar asher la Leviim v'lo asher la Kohanim. So again, Vizos or Zos teaches me Levim are disqualified by age limit, but not by blemishes. Asher la Levim, that said that even these age limits, this age limits only apply Asher la Levim to the Levim, and not the Kohanim who are only disqualified with Mumin. Says the Gemara, Yachol af b'shilo beis olavim kain. So we know that the Mishkan was 40 years in the desert. Then it was in Gilgal for about 14 years. Then it was in Shiloh for 369 years. Then it was in Givon and Nov for about 57 years. And then it was in Yerushalayim for many years. So the Gemara is going to say that this disqualification, if I would have asked you before you walked in here today, and you said 30 to 50, that's across the board. Levim are always puzzle. They're only 30 to 50 kosher. Gemara is going to qualify and say that that's only at the times of the Mishkan. Why would that only be at the times of the Mishkan? Because what do they have to do at the times of the Mishkan? That is schlep the stuff. Take it apart and carry heavy stuff. That's when there was a 30 to 50 disqualification age. But when you just have to sing, new, you could sing. If anything, you get a better voice as you get older and when you're younger. So you sing under 30, you sing over 50. You could watch the gates. How old or young do you have to be to watch the gates, to be the gatekeeper? So Gemara is going to clarify that this 30 to 50 disqualification or the 30 to 50 recommendation or requirement is only at the times of the Mishkan, during those 40 years. It says Gemara, Yachol af b'Shilo beis olavim kain. You might think that Levim can only serve from 30 to 50 even in Shiloh and beis olamim. Says the Gemara, Talmud lomar, why does it say 30 to 50? In that pasuk of 30 to 50, it says Avod avodas avodah, the work of work, v'avodas masa, the work of schlepping. Clearly, the reason for the 30 to 50 is because of schlepping. Lo amarti ela bizman she'avoda ba'katef. It's only when, literally, you have to put it onto your shoulder and they have to transport the Mishkan and its vessels, right? Because the person who's between 30 and 50 is considered to be at the strongest time of his life. So therefore, Lamaisa says the Gemara, a Levi who is younger than 30 or older than 50, so if it's not the times of the Mishkan, then for sure they can serve because they still have the ability to sing and to watch the gates, etc. So that's a very interesting pshat. That 30 to 50 is only limited to the times of the Mishkan. Now we're going to have a separate question. You may be familiar in the Torah that it actually mentions by Levium 25 years old also. So what's up with that? If you just told me 30 to 50, what's up with 25? Says Gemara, Kasav echad omer mi ben 5 v'esim shana v'mala, v'chasav echad omer mi ben 30, v'yefshar lomar 30 shekvar ne'amar chafei, v'yefshar lomar chafei shekvar ne'amar 30. So what do you mean they're going to serve from 25? If you told me they're going to serve from 30 to 50, well, what does it mean they're going to serve from 25? Says Gemara Haketa, and again, this is seemingly at the times of the Mishkan. Chafei lilimud shloshim lavod. You get your permit at 25. You start smicha at 25. You learn for 5 years, and then when you're 30, you're able to get your license. Then you can start working. So you train for 5 years, from 25 to 30. When you're 30, you start to do the work. Again, this is at the times of the Mishkan. We just said that if it's not the times of the Mishkan, they can work even younger. But in the times of the Mishkan, with the dismantling and the putting together and everything, you go to Levi school for 5 years. After 5 years, you graduate, and at 30, you're able to work as a full-fledged Levi in the Mishkan.
Otherwise, they were in kollel since they were kids, right?
Otherwise, they were learning. Correct. Says Gemara, Mikal l'tam shelo asim and yafa b'mishaso heishanim shovei neroah. This tells us 5 years is how long it should take to study and to know everything. If you study for 5 years and you don't remember your learning, then you're no longer going to see it. I.e., if you did the last cycle of DAF YOMI and you don't remember this, then might as well give up. Says Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi.
Remember what?
Remember everything you learned. What do you mean? Remember everything you learned. I get it, doctor. Thank you. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Gimel Shanim. He's got the laughing on. Okay, he's got the jokes back. Gimel Shanim Shnamar, we missed you. Uligad Lam Shanim Shalosh. And Rabbi Yossi says actually 3 years. If you don't see any success in your learning for 3 years, then Lamaisa, you better be nervous. You're not likely to succeed later on. Uligad Lam Shanim Shalosh. Ulamdam Sefer Lashon Kazim. What's this? This Nebuchadnezzar had hired, he wanted to have Jews work in the kingdom. It sounds like in the palace. So what did he do? He trained them for 3 years, and in those 3 years, he taught them the language, which was the language of costume. So you see that it takes 3 years to learn a language. So on one hand, you have one opinion that says it takes 5 years to learn something and 3 years to learn something. It says, what's the talmud-bavli going to say? If it takes 5 years, why did it only take 3 years to learn the language? Shani l'shon kazim dekal, that's easy. Yeah, for regular things, it takes 5 years. And if you don't learn it in 5 years, chances are you're not going to ever get it. Easy things like Lashon Kazim only take 3 years. And the other one, V'idach, the one who says that what? It's 3 years, so why did the Levium have to learn for 5 years if it only takes 3 years? He says Lashon Kazim is the status. That's the regular status quo. So why does it take 5 years for the Levium? Shani Hilchos Avoda D'Tekifin, because what the Levium had to learn was very, very difficult. Regular learning takes 3 years. So again, that's the question. Does regular learning take 5 years? Does it take 3 years? Regular learning takes 3 years according to him, but the Levium who had all this complicated things to learn about the singing and the dismantling of the Mishkan and putting it back up, and all the different musical instruments and everything, that took 5 years. So either way, again, it either take 3 years or 5 years to see success in the learning. Says in Tana Rabbanan. So that's the 25 versus 30. So now we got 25 versus 30. We know that 30 to 50 is at the times of the Mishkan, and seemingly we're good to go. Tana Rabbanan. So we haven't given an age limit for Kohanim, and seemingly for Leviim, not at the times of the Mishkan. Right? We just said 30 to 50 for Leviim at times of Mishkan. So what about Kohanim? We just said a Kohen doesn't have an age limit. Well, there's got to be some type of age limit. So it's from when he's 13, and he brings 2 pubic hairs, ad sheyaskin, until he grows old. Kosher lavoda. So that's what we meant. Even though there is some type of limit, it's not considered to be a psul b'shanim. Psul b'shanim is when you have a very specific age, 30 to 50. Here, from the time you're 13 till the time you get old, that's not a psul b'shanim. That's just giving you a few. You have to have some general parameters,
Sounds like it's
not specific parameters. So it sounds like it's person dependent on the old part. Kosher lavoda umumin poslambo. Again, for a Kohen, we know he's kosher for avoda no matter what age he is, assuming he's older than 13 and not a zaken. But mum is going to be possible. Ben Levi, Ben Shoshim, Ben Chamishim, Kosher lavoda. Again, definitely the times of the Mishkan. Vishanim possible. At the time for Leviim, it has to be 30 to 50. But Medbar Murim, like we just said, but Oel Moed Shebe Midbar. Aval B'Shilo, Beis Olamim, Ein Nifsalin Ala B'Kol. This is interesting. So he's saying that at the times of the Mishkan, 30 to 50, because you have to be able to dismantle and take apart. And when it's not the times of the Mishkan, no age limit, except if you have a bad voice. If you have a bad voice, then you're pasul. Most of the Meforshim say that if you have a bad voice, you still be one of the gatekeepers. Because again, if we're not schlepping, all we're doing is singing and playing, so very nice is not going to be an age limit, but at the end of the day, if you can't sing, then we're not going to give you a job. Rabbi Yossi Maikra, it's like funny, you go from Kolel, and all of a sudden you go to music tryouts. The what? Well, right here. Vayhi ka'achad lemachatz v'la mishorerim lashmiya kol achad. Because the trumpeters and the singers have to produce a unified unison sound. So you have to be able to go ahead and you have to be able to hear them. So if you're a person who's incapable of singing, then there's no schlepping to do. You're incapable of singing. We don't have much value for you. It says in Gemara, no, if you want to be a gatekeeper, you can be a gatekeeper. But again, for the Kohanim, the lower limit was 13, and the upper limit was to get old. Ad sheyaskin, till they get old. Ad kama, how much is that? Amar Rabbi Allah, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Ad sheyirates, until you start to shake. You start to shake, that's when you know that you're old. Nobody's old here. Okay.
Very stable.
Yes.
I'm asking, is there no concept of apprenticeship for a Kohen?
So it doesn't sound like it. It's interesting. It doesn't sound like there's apprenticeship for a Kohen.
It's complicated too. Very complicated.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that they would train them on the job, but it doesn't sound like you had to necessarily be trained. It's a good point. It's not Hassam. Well, we are going to actually see in 1 second. We will see in a second, actually. Maybe there was actually a 7-year apprenticeship. It's not Hassam. Baal Keri. So here's a separate case where we're just trying to figure out what old age is. It says that if a person has a mission, a seminal emission, a Baal Keri, Shetav Avlohitil Mayim, so he needs to go to the mikvah and then he needs to wait Har Shemesh till the nightfall. So he goes to the mikvah and then when nightfall comes, he's tahor. However, if he goes into the mikvah before he urinated, so he had this Baal Keri, he had this emission, and then he never went to the bathroom. So he wakes up in the morning, he had an emission, he doesn't go to the bathroom, he runs straight to the mikvah. That's not going to be good. Why? Because now what happens? He went to the mikveh, but now when he goes to the bathroom, there might be some of the keri left. Right. And lamaisa, when he goes to the bathroom, he already went to the mikveh. Now when the keri comes out, now he made himself tameh again. Says Rabbi Yossi Omer, becholo v'zakin tameh. That's only by a chol and a zakin. We'll see what a zakin is. B'yeled u'b'bari tower. But if it's a yeled or a bari, he's not tameh. Why? Because we assume that when he has the keri that comes out originally, when he has the emission originally, the entire thing comes out. It's only a chola or a zaken where part comes out and part stays in. So then if he goes to the mikveh before he goes to the bathroom, then lemaisa, there's still some left. Yeled ad kama. So this thing where it says a yeled is still going to be what? He's going to be kosher if he went to the mikveh. But a zaken, you have to assume that he's going to be tameh unless he went to the bathroom in between. How old is that? Amar Rabbi Lam Rabbi Chanina. Kol she'omed araglo achas v'choletz min alo v'noa min alo. Please, would you like to do a demonstration for us? It has to be someone who can stand on one leg and remove his shoe or put on his shoe. So I gave this in the first daf. So I asked Rabbi Rosenberg if he would do it. So he said, as long as he's using his walker, he could do it. So a person who can stand on one leg and remove his shoe or put on his shoe. I think I could do that for now.
I don't know.
You can't do that?
I think I definitely do.
Amar Alav Rabbi Chanina, Shahaya ben Shmonim Shana, V'haya Omed al Raglo Achas V'choletz min alo V'noa min alo. he can go ahead and stand on one leg, and he can remove his shoe and put on his shoe at the same
Are
time.
we talking about tying, or are we talking about just the slip-on?
I don't know. Either one is fine. You do either one, and I'll be fine with
Why
it.
is this the criteria?
I don't know. It's obviously the Marsha clearly will talk about something. I don't know specifically.
Try this at
And
home.
while you're doing that, you have to say
Right.
Test somebody in the area that,
Amar Rabbi Chanina, Chamin. Right. You would think that they would, because this is
can you shecht, can you do this?
Right.
But you need to be able to do that.
you need to have an objective. It sounds like you have to have a no. It sounds like you have to have an objective criteria where you're not going to get got, because you don't want people messing up the shechita. So we're not going to start. It's like if you tell people nowadays that they have to drive on the roads, right? I don't know how they test the old people in Florida, but I would assume that hopefully that they don't. Right, you have to go for your test when you're like 80 years old. You have to go for a license again.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they don't test them by making them drive like on the regular roads. I'm hoping that like you do like when you get a permit, you drive like in a little thing. You're not going to put them into the avoda if it's dangerous. So if the guy's going to mess up, you're not going to put them into the avoda. No, you would think that he would
What I'm saying
shaft.
is but your example is a good example because it shows they test them in a way that they're going to be
Driving,
working.
right?
Here, there's no.
It's just
I don't
right.
see the-
It's just a random test. I
How
understand.
It's an age test, it's like a sobriety.
I understand.
Let's
So-
say they can't see, but they can do that.
Right.
It could be a Kohen.
Right. So it sounds like it. Right. Correct. I understand. Amar Rabbi Chanina. So Rabbi Chanina says, "Chamin v'shemen shesachad ni'imi bi'aldusi." So Rabbi Chanina, who was 80 years old, he said the hot water and the oil that my mother put on me when I was a child, hin amdu li be'ezik nusi. And he was a doctor also. So he's claiming that for doctors, hot water and oil when you're young will be able to help you put on your shoe on one foot when you're older, i.e., to stay young. That's what he means. Saying if you put hot water and oil, what?
And too late.
Too late for that. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
So this
She would apply like onto his skin, hot water and oil, hot water and then oil. It sounds like, and that would keep his skin very young and would keep him very healthy.
So this balance and flexibility test was a test for not Levium,
It was a test for Kohanim.
for the Kohanim.
Because the Levium were forced retirement at 50.
Their voice, because it was.
Well, first of all, it was forced retirement at 50 in the Mishkan. You couldn't schlep.
Right.
And it sounded like even if you were old, and I think maybe going back to Rabbi Black's point, that if you were a Levi and you were 80 years old, but you had a beautiful voice, we're going to let you continue, even if you can't put on your shoe. But the point is that for Kohanim, who need to do something physical, it sounds like they need to do something physical. They need to sacrifice. They need to do something physical in the temple. They need to clean up whatever they're doing. So Lamaisa, they have to be able to go ahead and put on their shoe while standing on one leg. This is probably not right, but I wonder if it. Right, you have to be able to take off your shoes at Bernal's Kohanim. So I was actually thinking. I was actually thinking. It's probably not connected, but I was thinking more along the lines of like the kior. You have to be able to like bend down and like put your hands on top of your feet so you can actually wash your hands before doing the avodah in the Mishkan. But okay, new. Tana Rabbanan. So that's the maximum age. Once you can't do that anymore, you're done. Tana Rabbanan, as a Kohen, Nismali Zikano, if your beard has filled out, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have a beard. That means that you go ahead and you can grow a beard. Nismali Zikano, Roy Leaso Shliach Tzibur. You can become a Shliach Tzibur. And Rashi clearly says a Shliach Tzibur is not what we call Shliach Tzibur. It's not talking about a Chazan. Shliach Tzibur was the job that everybody hated that person. He was the guy who was in charge of, well, the blowing the shofar is fine. He was the guy in charge, the rabbi. He was in charge of the lashes. When you had to get malchus, he was in charge. If you had to go into, if you had to throw somebody into cherem, he would be in charge of throwing them into cherem. He would be in charge of all of the affairs of all of the things that are going on in the community. That's a person he has to be nismali. He's going to v'leired lifnei teva, and to go down before the teva. What's that? To be the chazan. Why is it called leired lifnei teva? I never realized. Why is it called leired lifnei teva? What?
They used to walk down.
They used to walk down. So there's actually a shul. There's actually a shul that he pointed out, and I actually remember that shul from Baltimore. There's a shul in Baltimore, and the shul in Shari Tefillah has it also.
Yeah.
Where in the front of the shul, when you're standing by the thing, there's a little thing down.
So
I
be
think
humble, so
I think that in YU they have that also. So it's based on it is based on humility, but it's based on the pasuk mimamakim krasich Hashem.
Okay.
Shira malos mimamakim krasich Hashem. We call you from the depths, so we go down to the depths. Probably based on being humble as well. Mimamakim. They have one in Baltimore. They have one in Shari Tefillah. Saying, I'm almost positive that maybe in YU they have it as well. It's interesting.
They have those little stools everywhere. Like the shul has it also.
Well, we do the opposite. We raise ourselves up.
Depends when. You take it off for
Right.
laning.
Oh, that's
You go down with
interesting.
laning.
That's interesting.
You go up.
Here,
you
really,
go
you should be
down.
going down for davening.
Yeah.
We go up. We have a few steps to go up. Okay. Says the Gemara. We do our own thing. Says the Gemara.
You're always going up.
You're talking about that in certain shuls, like by the front, where the.
It's upstairs we have.
I mean, upstairs there's a step up to go daven for the Amud. Yeah. The Li says kapav. If you want to do birchas kohanim, you have to be old enough that you fill out your beard. Now, it doesn't mean that kids can't do birchas kohanim with their parents, but to do it by themselves, if you want to be the only kohen in town, you got to have a beard. Me'emes kosher, which is interesting. You would have thought 13. Me'emes kosher lavoda. When you kosher do the avoda for kohanim, mishayavi shtei saras. That's what we were talking about. Mishayavi shtei saras. Rabbi Omer ani achiyeh ben esrim. So I'm not saying he's saying a 7-year apprenticeship, but he's arguing and saying that when you're 13, you can't start right away. You got to wait until you're 20. And we're going to clarify this a little bit. We're going to say whether this is l'chadchila, whether b'di'eved you'll be yotze if you do it between 13 and 20. But the Tanakama says you have to be 13, 2 sa'aros, and Rabbi says you don't start as a kohen until you're 20. Amar of Chisda, my time at the Rabbi, why does he say? Because it says that they appointed the Leviim from 20 years up to supervise the work of the Beis Hashem. What's the problem with this pasuk? What are we trying to prove here? How old the Kohanim need to be. What does the pasuk say? The Leviim. Says Gemara v'idach. First of all, l'naseach shani. The one who said 13. So what does he say? He says l'naseach shani. That means the Tanakama. Let's assume that this pasuk is talking about Kohanim for a second. So it says clearly that Kohanim have to be 20. So what's the Tanakama going to say? How is 13 enough? No, this is, you have to be 20 l'natseach, to supervise. As Rashi says, to do an avoda that requires supervision. It could have been pashut pshat to supervise. It means you can, it's one thing to say I'm going to do an avoda, but then it takes 7 years until you could be the person in charge. Supervision, 7 years to make partner. But over here it's Rashi saying no, not even necessarily to supervise, to do an avoda that requires supervision, like heavy lifting or something, or shchita, let's say, that you couldn't do from 13 to 20. You could do like the little tasks for the first 7 years. So again, when we talk about apprenticeship, it sounds like the Levium went to Levi school. The Kohanim started right away, but they started with like little tasks. They got the coffee and stuff, and then when they were 20, then they started doing the real thing. Shchita was just an example, because we said that shchita. We said that anybody can do shchita who's a gadol. But the point is that I was just giving an example that maybe they weren't doing shchita as soon as they turned 13. They probably had to train a little bit and watch. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, Kid Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Damar Yeshua ben Levi, be'esrim v'arba makomos nikru kohanim Leviim v'zeh echad mehen. V'kohanim Leviim and Eitzav. There are actually 24 places where the kohanim are called Leviim, and this is one of them. And Lemaisa, therefore, over here as well, even though it calls them Leviim, even though it calls them kohanim, it's actually Leviim. Just finish up to the Mishnah, and then we'll stop here. Tana Rabbanan. So now we haven't yet explained why a kohen needs to be 13. We understand why, again, Levi needs to be between 30 and 50. That's when he's strong. That's when he schleps. We understand why a Levi can be younger than 30 when they're not schlepping, or older than 50 because you could be a gatekeeper. You can sing if you have a nice voice. Lamaisa, that's fine. But we understand why a Kohen has a maximum age, forced retirement, whenever that is, when he can no longer tie his shoe or whatever, because what? Lamaisa, he has to be able to function. He has to be able to do something. But why does he have to be a minimum of 13? Where does this come from? He has to be a minimum of 13. Says the Gemara, Tanar Rabbanan, Ish mizarachal l'dorasam. Pasuk says, Ish mizarachal l'dorasam asher yeh bo mum. Talking about a Kohen. If he's an Ish that has a mum, he can't do anything. He can't serve. He can't bring a korban. So what does that imply? It's only if you have a mum, that what? It's a problem if you have a mum. However, Mikanam Lazar, Katan basol avoda. So it says an Ish, because a Katan is pasol avoda. And even if he doesn't have a mum, vafilu tam. Even if he doesn't have a mum. So again, Ish, you have a mum, you're going to be pasol. If you're not pasol with a mum, then you have to at least be an ish, which is going to be 13 and up. Says the Gemara, Aval echa v'kohanim eimanichen otzel lavod achehei ben chaf. So really, your kasher, says the Gemara, from 13, but the Kohanim didn't let him serve. They didn't want this little guy who's straight out of school serve from 13 to 20. You can go get me the coffee. So the Gemara is just going to end by saying, well, what is this? Is this Rebbe or not? Again, what do we have? We have the Tanakama said before in the last brisa, Kohanim have to be 13. Tanakama here says Kohanim have to be 13. To Rebbe in the last brisa says Kohanim have to be 20. Here it says Kohanim didn't let him serve until he was 20. So the question becomes, if this is Rebbe, then it was who didn't let him serve? The Kohanim. Which means if I ask you, Rebbe b'di'eved, if he serves from 13 to 20, are you Yotzei? Well, if it's only the Kohanim not letting him serve, but the rabbi said he can serve, then 13 to 20 b'di'eved will be okay. But if you tell me that the Kohanim not letting him serve is because the rabbis didn't let him serve, then 13 to 20 is not okay. That's what the Gemara is going to say over here. Ikadamri. Some say that this, which says that the rabbis, that the Kohanim didn't let him serve, ha-Rebbehi. That's actually Rebbe. And Rebbe is saying, va'afilu psul d'Rabbanan leslei. Right? This price is clearly saying that he was b'di'evet kasher. Because it's saying the only reason he couldn't serve was because the Kohanim didn't let him. Who is this? So we say you could explain that Rebbe agrees to this. And therefore Rebbe before when he said 20 and up, he meant 13 to 20 is okay. Right? 13 to 20 is okay, but the Kohanim didn't let him. But 13 to 20 would actually be okay. It's just that the Kohanim didn't let him. But there is no disqualification from under 20. Says the Gemara, V'ika damre, Rebbe Islay psul d'Rabbanan. Or you could say, no, Rebbe said 20, he was saying hard 20. You got to be 20. And he argues on this. And he's saying the reason that these guys couldn't serve was not because the other Kohanim didn't let him serve. It's because you're not allowed to serve until you're 20. So there's a nafkameen over here. According to the first way of understanding, Rebbe actually allows you, when he says 20, he allows you to serve from 13 to 20. It's just that the Kohanim didn't let them serve from 13 to 20. But he allows you. According to this, he's saying, no, you can't serve from 13 to 20. And I argue, it's not just because the Kohanim didn't allow them. You're not allowed to serve from 13 to 20. For harabanan. And according to that, if you say that this is not Rebbe, then this is the Rabbanan. And the Rabbanan are saying, L'chadchila delo, aval di'evet avodas kshera. And then the Rabbanan are agreeing that L'chadchila, we thought the Rabbanan said before that what? 13 and up is fine L'chadchila. According to this, that the Kohanim wouldn't let them, L'chadchila we would say somebody shouldn't serve from 13 and up if the Kohanim aren't letting him. But L'maisa, really 13 to 20 would be okay. So again, it comes out that a Levi can serve 30 to 50. If it's not in the Mishkan, a Levi can serve all the way from 13 and up, and he could serve all the way until he's, too old, and then maybe even then, one would argue that if he could still sing, he could still serve. And when it comes to a Kohanim, so Lamaisa, there is no 30 to 50 limit. He can really serve from the time he's 13. According to some, he has to wait until he's 20. That might be talking about a 7-year apprenticeship. But definitely, b'di'evet, he would be kosher even from 13. And in terms of the, how old he is, so he can seemingly go until he can't tie his shoe anymore. Okay.